Hey, did you know that despite the high costs of living, it still remains popular? Very interesting thought. I had recently noticed that there's a movement now of people who are saying, you know what, fuck the high costs of living. I'm opting out. I'm opting out of consumerism. I'm opting out of upgrade culture. I'm no longer buying shit that breaks, no longer buying shit that forces AI down my throats, that forces ads down my throats, that spies on me, that's intrusive, shit that just drains my wallet for no reason. And that movement is called the Buy Nothing Rebellion. If you look at my YouTube watch history, then you can see that all I've been watching here. A second here. Everything, obviously, that I've been watching has been the Buy Nothing movement, right? No, seriously, there's a lot of information out there right now. It's funny because if you Google it, you don't find articles about it. You don't find news coverage or anything like that, but you do find Instagram posts, Facebook posts, YouTube videos. So people are taking this seriously and they keep coming. And that's for a variety of reasons, actually. People are, on the one hand, fed up with, again, as the high costs of living, but also they feel like there's more quality of life to be had. You can live in a more healthy, lean, sane, more meaningful way. And that's something I want to talk about with you today. So the first question that I think is interesting is, what does buy nothing mean? Obviously, it doesn't mean buy nothing at all, because then, you might die. But it means buy nothing new or unnecessary. It's a really interesting quote that I found here. It's not about being cheap, the Smart Money Bro on YouTube. It's about being free. And free, he doesn't mean free as in beer, but he means it's an act of liberation. So yeah, you can still get a car, you can get a phone, you can get your TV, or in my case, a computer, but you don't have to buy it new. You can buy it used. You can opt out of the upgrade culture that's all pervasive these days. You can protect your consumer rights, your ownership rights, and you can do all that without compromising on substance in your life. I found that there's a variety of reasons why people, first of all, what people are not buying, really. Like status symbol shit, like for instance, watches or trendy clothes or anything like that. Experiences, like all paid for luxury vacations. New cars, especially with new car payments. Electronics, like I said before, like your phone or, new computers and stuff like that. Convenience, like, ordering pizza all the time. Household shizzle, like, for instance, pots, pans, dishes, that kind of thing. Home decor, there's limits to home decor. There's limits to the clothes that you buy, all the trendy latest branded shoes and shirts and jackets and whatnot. And then subscriptions. We're going to go into that in a little bit more in just a moment. And the other idea is, what are the incentives? Why are people buying less? And I found that really interesting because, as I said, there's this through line that they all feel it's an act of liberation, but there's just a variety of reasons that really spurs people on. And the more videos you watch, the more reasons you're going to hear. So here are just a few of them. First of all, the stuff that you buy is it's not cheap, but it's cheaply made. So like, for the same amount that you used to spend on, I don't know, an electric razor, it's just shittier these days. It's all made of cheap plastic, like a shower head, for instance, also a good example, right? It just breaks, and then you really need to take some time to find one that's actually good. And then if we're talking electronics, I have actually my own story to tell. I bought this really cool computer about 2.5 years ago in early 2023, and it's a really beefy PC. Right. So these are the specs, and I'm still using that computer today. I like it a lot, but it, like, even when I bought it and I wanted to start playing Hogwarts Legacy on it, I realized that it just goes up to 100 degrees, like the CPU just fries. So for about 2 years of using it, I used it mostly in power save mode because it's still a powerful computer. You can still run games. I played through the Dead Space remake on power save mode and it was fine. But obviously that's not the point, right? I know it's a gaming laptop. I know it gets hot, but even early on, after I bought it, I realized that this is a thing that, Asus is spreading the liquid metal that you need to cool the computer. They're spreading it in a really shoddy way, just from the manufacturer. And that way, the cooling is just not optimal, and it also can even fry some of the components, right? And, knowing that I spent 4,200 euros on this great computer, and then, seeing the shitty way they apply the cooling solution, it's kind of disappointing. It's disheartening. And then on top of that, about a year and a half into owning it, I looked it up on the used market, and the exact same computer used was going for 1,500, right? So that's a much lower price. So at this point, I learned my lesson. I'm not going to buy new computers anymore. I'm going to buy, much less new, because it's just not necessary. You can get powerful, great, awesome stuff for less money, right? So shit spies on you, right? We all know that. Microsoft keeps introducing shit into Windows that spies on you, So why not just go install Linux? AI, it's full of AI, and it can be intrusive or annoying or just stupid for no reason. Why do you need AI in your fridge, right? But I'm sure it's coming, or it's there probably in some cases. There's an update that gets installed again on your fridge, because your fridge now has to be connected to the internet, as does your toaster. And then boom, an update, and turns out now it's broken, right? Or there's ads. They shove paywalls and subscriptions. Like, okay, I'm going to be facetious, but you open your fridge door 10 times a day, and then boom, boom, paywall. You got to pay to open it more often. What about overkill? Why not? Why is there so much shit in the world already? And why do we have to produce more and more all the time? Why not just go and get something that's already there, that does the trick for you in what you need in your life? Then obviously the cost of living is expensive, and people want to lower their expenses. They also want to declutter their homes, because it feels like we have too much in our homes, and I'm sure you can relate to that. Like whenever you move, you throw out a whole bunch of shit, and you feel so much lighter when you just own less. And less clutter means also it declutters your head, it declutters your headspace, your lifestyle. You discover the joy of giving, because I found that interesting. Some people actually mention that it's more of a spiritual level now. But if you start sharing with your community, if you start engaging with people down the street that might have or need something that you have, and you can give it away, and you can share with people, and that again brings you also closer to your community, right? You find some peace and meaning in this as well, because there's one video that I watched on YouTube of this guy who just restored a couch that had been beaten by weather. He fixes up the wood and the couch pillows and stuff like that. And he talks about what spiritually the Buy Nothing movement means for him. I really recommend that video. It's linked in the description. You can watch it. So there's that part, and it just takes a load off, right? Because whatever you own, it just comes with responsibility. It comes with work, right? For upkeep and maintenance. And then lastly, obviously it's good for sustainability if you just have less stuff or buy stuff that's already there. Talk about circular economy rather than buying new stuff all the time. Now, how can you do this? And this is obviously not an exhaustive list. There's some things here that I found through my own research, some things that I noticed or heard in YouTube videos, but there's really a lot of places you can start, and it costs you really sweet fuck all. In fact, it just brings in money that you would otherwise be spending. So there's the Buy Nothing app. Disclaimer, I haven't tried that myself, but it looks really interesting, where you can just reduce waste, save money, build community by just using this app to, join a large network of gifting communities. It's obviously, the concept is not unique. You've got Facebook Marketplace, you've got Kleinanzeigen.de here in Germany, you've got Craigslist, of course. And all of these are really interesting ways that you can just get stuff used and find stuff used. And I'd love to hear in the comments where you are in the world and which resources you're using for that. There used to be a thing called Freecycle here in Germany, but I don't even know if it still exists. Let me check. I'm curious now. Yeah, well, there you go. Look at that shit. It's all out there, right? So Freecycle Network, grassroots and entirely non-profit movement of people who are getting stuff for free in their own towns. You can use all of these resources. And then there's, like I said, Craigslist Classifieds and Facebook Marketplace. Too Good To Go is a really interesting app that I actually also have my own video for, and an article about that, where you can get good food that is about to go bad, or that would go to waste because a restaurant is closing or a cafe is closing for the night. Then you can just go and pick it up for really low prices, and you get great food. And even if you end up throwing out a little bit of that yourself, just hauling like $20 worth of food out of a supermarket for $6. That is a main difference, right? Thrift stores are great. When I was living in Montreal, look at what some of these thrift stores in Montreal look like. By the way, this is a really, really cool one. I was in there and they had this giant CRT TV. It was like probably 40 inches, 50 inches. And it had a VHS tape of The Empire Strikes Back playing. Really cool one. I think it was that one. Either way. So these thrift stores, I used to buy all my clothes, and I still do. Many clothes, I buy them at thrift stores because it's great clothes that are still in wonderful shape, and also just knowing that they haven't gone out of shape during the time that the previous owner wore them. You can sort of infer that that is not cheap shit, right? That is just gonna last you. You can fix it. You just get a needle and thread. If there's like a hole in it, get it home. You can tailor it, and you can just get a bunch of safety pins, and then you buy a nice shirt at the thrift store. It doesn't quite fit. It just hangs down a little loose, and then you just use a needle and thread to make it fit your body shape, and you look great in that. There's really no reason to just always buy new clothes. Obviously, if you get married or whatever, you go to a court date or something, then yeah, you want to be well dressed. Anyway, I'm gonna waffle about this, but I really, really recommend just checking out some thrift stores, especially if you're in North America. These things are huge. In Germany, they're a bit harder to find, and then I don't know about other countries, but let me know in the comments below. Like I said, you can tailor them. You can bring them to a tailor. Tailors are not that expensive, right? You buy this beautiful jacket or blazer or something. You give it to a tailor, and you tell them, hey, I want this to really fit me snugly, and then you pay another $15 or whatnot for them to do that for you. Subscriptions. Just check how many subscriptions do you actually have. All these streaming services that you subscribe to, do you really still need them? What any other subscriptions that you have, just double check them and then just fucking throw them out. It's not necessary. Then just go buy from local businesses. It doesn't necessarily save money. You might end up paying the same or perhaps even a little bit more, but you are supporting somebody that's around the corner, that works there where you live. You make perhaps new connections. You meet people. It's going to be interesting. You're going to have some great conversations. It just enriches your life, right? This new lifestyle, instead of just going on Amazon and ordering shit and just having it delivered. And by the way, that's just like, you're making shopping great again, right? Because this used to be awesome, like in the 90s or before, just our parents' generation. That's how things used to work. They would just meet each other at the local store and you would have conversations and stuff like that. So why not go back to that? Hygiene articles, very interesting one. I mean, your mileage may vary, but I'm sure there's people out there, at least the one YouTuber that I saw said that if you just pile on all that deodorant and extra shampoo and smelly stuff that you use to smell really amazing, perhaps it's a little much, so you can use less of that and still smell well, smell good. Obviously, don't make yourself unfuckable, but that's one thing. Oh, why do I have it twice? It doesn't matter. You should budget. You can get like a finance budgeting software for just your household budget, right? And then just put in there what you're spending. How much money are you spending? Where is it going? How much money is coming in? And then do that for a few months. Just look at your reports and identify, hey, where's all my money going? Am I spending too much on restaurants? Am I spending too much on takeout, right? These kinds of things. Insurance, same thing. Do you need all the insurance you have? Like, they tend to pile up. Same with phone plans. Like, do you have the best phone plan that you could have? And the last thing I found really interesting is you can learn from friends. Just go and speak to people that you know, or speak to people that you're meeting somewhere, and just tell them, hey, I'm figuring out how to be more efficient, more effective with my spending in my life, and how to declutter and just live a more Zen lifestyle. What are your experiences with that? Like, did you know about this app? Did you know about that app? And then they might tell you about one, right? So interesting stuff here. What I found really awesome is that this movement is just here now. I mean, the ideas that are at its core, they're not really new, right? Like, people have done this before. This is not something that we just invented. But I figure because of the economic circumstances or just the times that we live in, this is becoming a thing now where it just goes outside of certain circles and it becomes a larger movement. And I enjoy seeing that because, it's not just about making our lives better or just improving our lifestyle, but it's also just creating a better future, right? For the planet, for us as a species, with climate change and all that shit happening to us. So very good stuff. And I like this concluding sentence that I found in one of the videos. You don't need to buy more to have more. So you tell me, do you think this is just a sign of the times, or is this a shift in our consciousness? I think that either way, time will tell, but it's really hard to deny that if you consume more intentionally and if you think and live more outside of the system, then that increases your quality of life. So try doing any of what we just discussed, like all of these possible solutions, these apps you can install, or the new ways you can think about or act on your consumption. These are just habits that you need to change. And I love how this is really just an immediate impact that you can have on your life. You don't need to wait for something to happen or just do a whole lot of things first before you see an effect, but just you start doing that shit and bada bing, bada boom, your life improves, right? So it's worth checking out. I'd love to hear your stories. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So leave them in the comments below. And I will talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye. It's the early days of the solutions movement and the website isn't ready yet, but if you're watching this in the future, this video is gonna age, but its companion article on the solutionsmovement.com isn't. Use the quick link on screen to get this solution in writing, discover new developments, see our sources, and learn how to take action.